Hello, and welcome back to the Sanderlanche podcast. Today we are covering Oathbringer, chapters 12 to 14, wherein Dalinar engages in discussions with other leaders on Roshar and is promoted unexpectedly. Shallan and Adolin share a meal together, and Patton has a lesson in what it means to be a chaperone. And finally, Kaladin sees what the Voidbringers are up to, or not up to, as in the case may be. Lots of fun in there. I am Jamie, and with me today is
Data
and Dak.
So unfortunately, no Joe today, but the rest of us are here to discuss this and whatever else pops into our head, as is tradition. So hold on to something, everyone. The Sanderlanche is about to begin.
Yearnings intertwined, the golden age in ashes once again. Under stirring stars, in the burning shards, kindle fragments of the fallen rain. So look to the break of dawn, to the break of dawn. Stronger together now.
So yeah, another 3 chapters this week, and I know we're going 2 weeks without Joe at this point. He's got a bunch of stuff going on the last couple of weeks, so hopefully he'll make it the next one. But in the meantime, what did you guys think of these 3 chapters?
Yeah, these were pretty good. I at first was like, a bunch of politicking, but I kind of like the idea of politicking at a distance. Although, like, I agree with, Dalinar trying to get everyone in the room would be super helpful. So yeah, that was a bit of fun. I enjoyed the Thalen Queen. It's just a bit of like a no nonsense kind of attitude. I thought she was a bit of fun. Kind of disappointed with who is coming to town, but we'll see how that goes. Probably not well. We obviously know he's got his own agenda, so that's going to be really interesting to see how that all unfolds. And Elhokar, I really felt for him, and I thought for sure he was going to abdicate, not giving Dalinar his own sort of high kingdom thing. It was nice to see him feel excited about something and like feel his own glory spread. Hopefully this gives him enough peace that he can try and be a good leader rather than just living in Dalinar's shadow. I hope it's a good thing, but we'll see what happens. Maybe it means, Elhokar's going to leave. Seems to be what he wants to do, but they kind of need Kaladin to come back and do that. And don't know when we'll see Kaladin again based on the last chapter. So,
right.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting. Nice little short chapter there. I feel a bit validated in the Voidbringers aren't up to what everyone else seems to think they're up to. Yeah, I think they don't really know fully what they're up to at this point. So that'll be good to see a bit more through Kaladin in the coming weeks, hopefully, what's going on there. But my favorite character for this week's chapters was easily Patton. I love the juxtaposition between Syl and Patton. Syl's like, oh yeah, this is what happens. I know what happens. I've already been researching and this is great. And Patton's first point of what's an inappropriate thing to happen between a courting couple is dividing by 0. I had a really good chuckle about that. And then when he pops up realizing what is inappropriate, fantastic. Good bit of writing. I thought it was so funny. I was listening to these chapters while the family, we were all having breakfast together, and I think Dak knew exactly what I was listening to when I started audibly giggling. So
oh my, yes.
And the voices, I think the voices just made it even better. I think it's Kate Reading, I think.
Yeah.
I have to confirm.
Kate Reading. I don't know how you pronounce it, but
Reading?
it's written like that. Yeah, Reading.
Yeah. She does a great Patton buzzing voice and just this normal conversation, and then it's like, oh, mating. Oh, it was so good. So good.
I have heard people say that she does great Spren in particular, and since I've never listened to the audiobook, I've never had to experience that. So
yeah.
I agree that the dividing by 0 line is great. Definitely got a laugh out of me on that one.
Speaks to all the math people.
Yep. Oh, but Yeah, I mean, Joe was talking about the last episodes he was doing, how he was like, I really hope it doesn't turn into like a whole politics thing. And, the first chapter is, like you said, it's definitely a lot of politics, but I feel like it's interesting. And you get the different personalities that you get in these conversations are interesting, where it's like, we've met the new emperor in Azir, but obviously he's not the one, having the conversation. So you get this look at how the Azish like mind works in these international discussions. And then a huge contrast to, we've met some Thalens. We had not met the Thalen Queen before. And then we talked directly to her, and it's a very different experience. So we're kind of learning a lot about different parts of the world through this.
Yeah, and I think we coming back to Well of Ascension and the amount of politics in that book, and we were all like, oh, not a fan. I think there has to be some politics, and that's fine. Just please don't give me a whole Stormlight book of politicking. Like that's a lot of politics. I expect there to be some, but yeah, done differently. And I think this scene was really good.
Yeah, I think so too. And then the thing you said about Elhokar really hit, because Elhokar, I know not a lot of people, he's not their favorite character, and he's not, the best dude, but it is so hard not to feel sorry for him. Like sometimes in the past, Dak has been like, I feel really sorry for Elhokar in this scene. And I'm just like, okay, I mean, I don't know that I necessarily feel as sorry for him as you do, but I get it. At this moment is one of those where I'm just like, it's really hard. If you don't feel kind of bad for Elhokar here, then you may be dead inside.
Yeah, and I think that turning point for us was the conversation you had with Kaladin in the last book. At first, you're like, he's just a bit arrogant, and I don't really know if I like him that much, but he's broken, this poor guy. Yeah.
And then it's such a moment for me where he's finally starting to like you said, he gets like that glory spread moment, and he's so excited that here's something he can actually do. And even that is tempered by, I mean, we're gonna have to get Kaladin, of course, so that if I screw up, he can still save the day. And you're like, oh, you poor man. Although, good plan, probably. I will admit.
Yeah.
Well, since we're on that topic, the thing that made me think about these chapters is like Dalinar's trying to convince Elhokar. It's like, no, we still need to do this, like, we're going to maintain our current status quo. Like, you're not as bad as you say. All right, no worries. Well, let me go sort out Alethkar and take Kaladin with me. And Dalinar's like, we didn't tell you that he left. Shit. We kept you out of the loop again. My bad. You're the king, and we keep doing that. So it's kind of like, it's just making Elhokar's point. It's like, am I not the king? And Dalinar's like, of course you're the king. And it's like, and you haven't told me shit for like weeks. So once again, Elhokar is an afterthought to everything. As much as Dalinar's like, oh yeah, you're totally the king, but I'm doing everything, and you're just a figurehead. So,
to be fair, like they tried to invite him to things like, hey, we found Sadeas's body. Why don't you come out here? And the king's like, like he never did show up for that.
I don't remember that. I mean, he was also still recovering from his wounds. So,
yeah, that's true.
As far as the rest of the chapters go, yeah, I mean, I agree. Like, it's not that the politics in these books are bad. It's just that Well of Ascension, there was just so much of it, and it was a slog to get through. A bit of politics is fine. Like, we've had a bit of politics in the previous Stormlight books. So, and it was okay because we weren't overloaded with it. So the same here. It's like, oh, it's nice to see. We've seen all the internal Alethi politics. Now we're seeing them negotiating with the rest of the world, and they're just like, we don't want no Alethi army on our doorstep. You can take that and shove it, mate.
Yeah, fair.
Yep. So yeah, no, that was a fascinating look into the insight into the world as a whole and everything they're planning to do. Yep, the Shallan chapter was fun. Agreed. Patton was the MVP once again. I was saying to Jamie before, it's kind of weird that in such a short space of time we've gotten two of the partner Spren who have a whole segment where they're talking about sex. So now I'm just waiting for Dalinar and Navani to be having an intimate moment, and then Stormfather goes, "You're doing it wrong."
I was sitting here like, how would the Stormfather? And then now that you say that, that's exactly what would happen. Yeah.
Yep. I mean, he's seen it all. He probably knows all about.
He could write a book,
Yeah. The erotic adventures of the storm. Moving on.
That's what Oathbringer actually is. We're only in the preface now, so you don't know. But
yep. Let me show you the real storm form.
Oh.
Moving on. But yeah, I think in terms of things that got me interested, it was the Kaladin chapter that I was most fascinated by, because like, okay, fine, let's see, because these aren't Parshendi, these are Parshmen who have
Right.
turned in the storm, and really it's the first time we've gotten a good look at Parshmen in general in any capacity. They've mostly just been kind of in the background. We'd see something occasionally, like, you know, they'd refuse payment when Shallan tried to pay them or something. Very timid and meek, and mostly just, you know, wallpaper for a scene. So it was nice to get a scene of them doing stuff. Obviously, after they've changed, they've got a bit more personality. But it's like they're learning how to be people. That's all it is. They're just trying to, all right, we're people now. How do we be people? Okay, well, I know I've seen them play this game, so do you want to try playing this game? And like, that was like, oh, like that was fascinating. I ate that shit up. So yeah, obviously it like says a lot of the Voidbringers are not what we thought they were. So I need to know more. That captivated me. I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, we're leaving it there. But yeah, loved it. Really good.
Yeah, that's like I feel like the game changing section of these 3 chapters for sure, because we've talked about, we're more than 10% of the way through the book at this point. We've talked about the whole time. We keep hearing that the Parshmen have been changed by the storms. We haven't gotten close enough to know anything about exactly what happened. And now we finally do. And it's like, oh, that's not at all what Kaladin was expecting for sure. I don't know what any of us were expecting necessarily, but that is nothing like what Kaladin thought he was going to stumble on. So yeah, it's opens up some doors.
We sort of had hints that they're not as savage as we assumed, because obviously they didn't kill the people they stole the grain from. But nothing prepares you for the fact that they just seem to be average Joes. Average crabs?
Average Joe crabs.
Crab Joes. Yeah, like, that was completely out of left field. Like, and it owes a lot to the fact that we've spent now over 2 books hearing the Voidbringers are the evil and like the monsters and everything else. And then at the end of Words of Radiance, we see the Parshendi turning into Voidbringers, and they were like, you know, and we saw an Eshonai's head, and she, like, it seemed like psychotic and like really sociopathic in there. So like, we're all prepared for that to be the case here, and it's like, nope, here's that rug pull.
It can't be what we thought. That's Brandon doesn't allow that. Yeah, I mean, good points. I think let's do this. Let's get into these chapters. Our first one is negotiations. And the Oathbringer preface here is just, I ask not that you forgive me, nor that you even understand. All right? Not asking much.
I'm really getting to the thought that, okay, these epigraphs are just burying the lead. This is just Brandon just like, okay, I need to put as much vague shit in these to hold your attention as possible without actually saying a goddamn thing.
I mean, yeah, I think all 3 of these are like, for this time, are like 1 sentence. No, the third one is 2 sentences. So they're not long either.
Yeah.
Maybe just because he has to fit 32 pieces in, because part 1 has 32 chapters. All right, so we are in Urithiru in one of the upper rooms, and Dalinar's kind of looking out, thinking stuff over, and we get a little bit of Stormfather Dalinar talk, where the Stormfather's like, yeah, those old Radiants, they're not what you think. They were men like you, no better, no worse. And Dalinar's like, actually, I kind of find that encouraging. And the Stormfather has to be like, well, but they did eventually betray us, so don't forget that. And Dalinar says, why? What happened? And the Stormfather's like, yeah, I'm not going to tell you. Some things are better left forgotten.
This guy is actually super unhelpful.
Yeah. And it's funny because, like, I feel like Syl and Pattern have tried hard to be helpful, but they don't know a lot or remember a lot. And so it's difficult for them. Whereas the Stormfather seems to know a whole lot, and he just won't tell you.
It's like, are you actually that concerned about preventing what's going down or not?
But it's also interesting to me that, like, the Stormfather's like, you should understand of anyone that some stuff is better left forgotten, considering the hole in your mind and the person who once filled it. So he knows about, what's going on. Ouch. And then we get Kalami saying the Emperor is ready. And so they're going to have a span-read conversation with the Azish and their new Emperor. And you are greeted by His Imperial Majesty Yanagon the First, Emperor of Makabot, King of Azir, Lord of the Bronze Palace, Prime Akasix, so on and so forth. And I like the rumor that has made it to the Alethi is that this guy supposedly raised a kid from the dead, and that miracle got him, elected to the position of emperor, basically.
Close, guys.
Yeah, you're approaching it. Local word is that they had trouble finding a new prime after the last two were murdered by our old friend, the assassin in white. So the viziers picked a boy with questionable lineage and made up a story about him saving someone. I like that, they've got this sort of cynical take on it, and actually the non-cynical version is slightly closer to the truth. And Dalinar's like, it doesn't seem very Azish to just make things up. And Navani's like, oh no, they're actually fine with it as long as you can find witnesses willing to fill out the affidavits. The Azish are so fun. And so Dalinar starts out the conversation. He's like, he wants to get people here in person. He wants to talk to them face to face. He's like, I invite you to come see this amazing, the city of legend, Urithiru. You can bring as many guards, you can bring whoever you want, but just come and hang out.
We got souvenirs.
And the Azish sidestep that real quick. They say, hey, we appreciate your warning about the storm blowing the wrong direction. Your timely words have been noted and recorded in the official annals of the Empire, recognizing you as a friend. It's like, all right, that has nothing to do with what I said, but... And Teshev's like, no, this is good. They paid you a compliment. That's like a big honor is being recorded in the official records. And so he tries again. He's like, hey, I want to make your acquaintance personally. Why don't we talk? And the Azish sidestep again. And Navani has to be like, yeah, you can't push them into answering a question that they've decided they don't want to answer. And so they're like, okay, let's try another tactic. Instead of an invitation, offer aid. And so Dalinar offers an exchange of information about the Voidbringers. Like, the Voidbringers are here. Let's trade what we know. Let's unite mankind against this threat. And the Azish are like, okay, yeah. Sharing information. Helping one another. Great idea. What do you know? And so he gives them a little information. We fought them on the Shattered Plains, Red Eyes. My scribes can give you a detailed report. And the Azish are like, great. We'll take it. And it's like, all right then. Well, what's going on with you guys? Like, what have the Parshmen been doing? Are your cities okay? Are they destroying things? And the Azish are like, actually, it's going okay. They're not actively attacking anymore. We are negotiating with them. And Navani's like, wait. The Voidbringers are willing to negotiate with you? It's like, yes. We are exchanging contracts. They have very detailed demands with outrageous stipulations. And Navani's like, they have contracts? What? This doesn't sound at all like what we expect. And the reply comes that the average Parshman cannot write as far as we can tell, but some are different, stronger, with strange powers, and they do not speak like the others. And then Dalinar jumps in again, and he's like, we got to talk about this directly. Like, this is a big deal. Look, I can come to you through that portal. And can we talk? You don't have to come here. I'll come to you. And they're like, yeah, so the portal doesn't work. It was destroyed long ago. And Dalinar's mad, like, oh, they're just telling us this now? And Navani's like, no, that's a lie. Like, the Oathgate on the Shattered Plains was out in the open, exposed to the elements for centuries, and it worked fine. The one in Azamir is a monument in the middle of the Grand Market. It's got to work. And then while they're having this discussion, the Spanreed starts sending an affidavit from the Imperial Architects that the Oathgate is not functional. And basically it's worthless because Kalami's like, all this says is that it does not currently function as a portal, which it can't unless a Radiant works it. So this just says if it's not working, then it doesn't work, basically. Like, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, it's kind of like saying
Also,
when something doesn't have batteries, it's like, oh, it's broken. It's like, no, you just need to change the battery.
Yeah.
Also, Navani's like, before, they'll lie about it as long as someone's willing to sign the affidavit. So,
and here we go.
Probably is working.
So little bit of deception on their part maybe here. We don't know that for sure, but the Kalami and Navani seem pretty sure.
Navani's just probably like super pissed. It's like how dare you sign this affidavit without running all the proper checks?
Yeah, she's the engineer, so she's like, this is shoddy is what this is.
This disgusts me.
And Dalinar, he's like, hey, look, you guys ignored me before and stuff went bad. Like, please listen now, okay? You cannot negotiate with the Voidbringers. We have to like unify. We have to work together to protect Roshar. And they're like, yeah, no, that stuff about negotiation, that was a mistake. There's a translation error. We're not negotiating with them. We'll contact you later. Bye. And Dalinar's mad. It's like, fools, idiots. And his people are like, so the Azish are real good at saying nothing in as many words as possible. So this is pretty on par for them. It'll take time to get anywhere. And Dalinar's like, time during which Roshar burns? Like, why are they doing this? Why'd they pull back on their negotiation claim? And Teshev's like, yeah, I think they probably thought they'd given you too much information, so they tried to backpedal. And before they can get too much into post that conversation, like into that discussion, the Thalens call. And this time it is the Queen herself who is holding the span reed. Her Royal Highness Brightness Fen Runamdi, Queen of Thalana. And Dalinar once again tries, like, Your Majesty, I send you greetings from Urithiru, holy city. The tower is a sight to behold. I would be honored to present it to you.
Shove it, Dalinar.
As she says, Colin, you old brute, quit spreading chull scat. What do you really want? And Navani's like, I like her. It's like, there's a great moment in Clue where, no, it's not Clue. It's Murder by Death, where, what's the actress's name who played McGonagall?
Maggie Smith.
Yes, Maggie Smith has a great moment where she's like, I like her. I really like. And that always comes to my mind when I hear somebody say that. And Dalinar's like, no, I'm being sincere. I want to meet in person. I want to talk. The world is changing around us. And Fen is like, the world's changing, huh? What led you to that? Was it when the slaves suddenly became Voidbringers, or when a storm blew the wrong way and ripped our cities apart?
And he's just like, and who the fuck told you that was all going to happen? Yo.
Yeah. Yo. And High Prince Aladar is here, and he's like, I think she's having a bad day. And Navani's like, no, actually, this is good for her.
I'm genuinely curious. When the shit did Aladar become the rational dude in the room? Because I feel like this is not the first time he showed up. I mean, granted, this point was kind of a misnomer, but like throughout the conversations later in this chapter, he's kind of just like saying the logical thing. I'm like, were you always this guy? I don't remember you being this guy.
I think we didn't know him that well. He was like just one of Sadeas's toadies at first. And then it seems like his experience out on the Shattered Plains with Dalinar really changed his outlook on some stuff.
Okay, so he might have been the logical guy in Sadeas's camp and we just never saw it.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. Sadeas is like, I will build a tower of skulls with Dalinar's at the top, and Aladar's like, dude, we've talked about this. Stop it.
It's like, this isn't helping anybody. Like, if we're gonna take over the kingdom, like, come on.
It's like, Eli, can you get him to stop, please?
I wonder if Aladar has a wife. We never see her. Maybe she's back home, like taking over running the princedom.
Maybe.
The queen says that, like, Dalinar asked, tell me about the Parchment. What happened there? And she's like, a storm and monsters stole our best ships, almost everything in the harbor, and escaped the city. And Dalinar's like, wait.
Oh, shit. We got Voidbringer pirates, y'all.
Maybe. Dalinar's like, wait, they didn't attack? They just left? And she's like, yeah, there were some scuffles, but mostly we were too distracted by the storm. And they took the entire grand royal fleet of warships and private trading vessels and everything. And once again, Dalinar is confused. Like, they aren't acting like we thought they were going to act. They expected the Voidbringers would transform, would attack everywhere all at once. And here we've got, in Azir, they're sending contracts, apparently outrageous contracts, and negotiating. And in Thalana, they stole all the boats and sailed away. And
I wonder if their behavior is like they're trying to mimic what they see, right? So Kaladin's seeing them try to play this game because they've seen them play the game. It's like, are the Parshmen in Azir trying to trade contracts and negotiate and things because that's what they've seen? They're just mimicking behavior.
Maybe that would fit. I mean, like Dak even mentioned earlier, it's like they just seem to be, or was it Jamie? They just seem to be learning trying to figure out how to be people. And so
just get out in the way they know how.
Yeah, maybe. We need more information. We get a very short bit of it in this section. It's interesting and frustrating. Yeah. And Dalinar has to get in an "I told you so." Like, we warned you about the storm, remember? And she says, "No, I believed you, if only because we got word from another city confirming it from the first time. But you can't just change an entire, like, 4,000 years worth of tradition with a snap of a finger." And she's like, "Look, my city is messed up. Like, our entire system is built to withstand storms coming from one direction. And a storm came from the other direction and trashed everything. And we don't even have any Parshman laborers to help us fix it. I don't have time for messing around and sightseeing in a big tower, like whatever." And Dalinar's like, "Well, it's not sightseeing. I get your problems, but there's bigger issues here. We've got Voidbringers all over the world. I want to convene a conference of kings to fight this." And she's like, "Yeah, led by you, right?" It's like, "Well, this is the natural location for it because everyone can come here quickly. I can have you here in an afternoon and back to your city by dinner time." And then somebody mentions, like, we have to get a Radiant in their city before they can come here, right? To unlock it. And the only one we have that can travel quickly is the Windrunner, and he not here. But it's like, we'll deal with that problem later. Okay, let's do one thing at a time. And Fen is like, our merchants are intrigued by these Oath Gates. If you want to send me what you know about them, that's great. But I'm not interested in some big conference. You let me know what you guys come up with. I'm going to be busy with my city, my kingdom. And Aladar's like, well, at least she finally responded honestly. And the others are like, actually, I don't know. Something sounds wrong here. And Teshev is like, oh yeah, any Thalen would jump at the chance to come and pull strings at a meeting of all the monarchs, if only to see what kind of trade deal she can get out of them. So she's hiding something. And so on Navani's advice, Dalinar's like, hey, I'm sorry to hear about all the horrible destruction. I've got a bunch of soldiers sitting around here doing nothing. I will send you some to help repair your city. And very reasonably, I think, she's like, yeah, I don't know that I want a whole Alethi army in my city, supposedly well-intentioned or not. And Dalinar even has to admit, like, I mean, no, I get it. It's a rational worry given our rep. In fact, everyone should probably be scared that we now control a way to, like, get into their cities, like, behind any defenses they might have in an instant. And so he's just like, okay, for now, think about what we asked and what we offered. And while you're doing that, look around. You'll probably find some budding Knights Radiant among your people. They seem to be popping up all over the place. And he even gives her, it's like, hey, look, their radiants are formed by the interaction of people with certain kinds of spren. The spren seem to be out there looking for candidates. Probably someone in your city has already spoken the oaths. And Aladar very reasonably points out, like, you're giving away a lot there because nothing says that all the Knights Radiant have to come here. And if people in different areas start setting up their own home of the Knights Radiant, you might end up with a different group of them in every major city, like competing with each other instead of working together. But Dalinar is like, I got to use the cards that I have to try to build something here. But he follows it up like, we'd be happy to send our Radiants to train those you discover and introduce them to the system and fraternity of your Etheru. So try to shore up that a little bit. And then we get a very much more formal, like, the Crown of Thalana thanks you for your interest in our people and will consider negotiations regarding your offer of troops. And Navani's like, damn it, we lost her. She went back to Queen speak. And so he's kind of 0 for 2 at this point, and he's not feeling super optimistic about it. We'll never get any of the other Makabaki kingdoms if we don't have the Azish Emperor's blessing. Apparently, like, they'll all follow the lead of Azir. Maybe the Amuli or the Tukari will listen, but I'll only ever get one of them because they're at war with each other and hate each other.
The Blackwood Bracken principle.
Is that a Game of Thrones reference?
Yep.
Okay. I was like, that's what it sounds like, but I don't know.
Yeah, there were two houses in the Riverlands who just hated each other, and the River Lords were just like, if you get one, you're gonna lose the other. That's why it's always a big deal whenever they agree. Everyone's just like, shit, things must be bad. Those two guys are on the same page.
It's like there were two guys like that in Elantris, I think, right? Where they're always at odds with each other.
Could be, I don't remember.
Or no, I'm thinking of White Sand. Like, there was the guy who would just automatically vote against what the other guy was going to vote for, or vice versa, because he hated him so much.
That's right.
Yeah, and it's like he needed all of the votes in his favor to win, and it was like, you're never going to get that guy's vote and the other guy's vote. But he did. He's thinking about the different oath gates and who we can try to talk to. Also, apparently the Shin just don't like using span reads. So they haven't even been able to contact them, except Navani knows a guy who knows a guy, basically, and he'll relay information.
Putting money, that's going to be the merchant we've seen a couple of times.
That would make sense. We've seen him interact with some Shin
in the interludes.
Yeah, Rissen's like Bapsk. I don't remember his name offhand. And Dalinar kind of walks off, and he finds Elhokar. It says, like an axe hound banished from the warmth of the fire, Elhokar is hovering just outside the doorway. And Dalinar, I mean, he goes for respect. He's like, Your Majesty, I'm glad you could make it to the meeting. Are you feeling better? And Elhokar's just like, why did they refuse you, Uncle? Do they perhaps think that you'll try and usurp their thrones? Which, I mean, fair point. And before Dalinar can really say anything, Elhokar's like, you probably think I'm saying that in a spiteful way, but I'm not. You're better than I am. A better soldier, a better person, definitely a better king. And he's like, just be honest with me for once, Dalinar. And Dalinar's like, well, you think I haven't been honest with you? He goes, no, okay, fine. Maybe you have. Maybe I'm the liar telling myself that I could do this. That I could be a fraction of the man my father was. And he comes down and is like, maybe I'm a fine king. Like, not amazing, not a failure either, just okay. And any other time, maybe being an okay king would work out just dandy. End of the world, not the time for just an okay king. So he asks his mother and Brightness Teshev to witness something, and Dalinar's like, oh no. And he says, you must accept the consequences for your actions, Uncle.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, who's he going to give it to, realistically? He's basically assumed that position anyway.
I mean, yeah, Dalinar's been making all the decisions.
Yeah.
And so Elhokar's like, it starts like swearing fealty to Dalinar. He says, if there's high princes and princes, why not kings and high kings? You did ask for this, Uncle, not specifically in words, but this is the only place it could have gone. And Dalinar's like, I mean, I've tried to include you, but you're right. I'm sorry. And then they're like, look, dude, okay, fine. You want to do this? And Navani joins in. It's like, we need to outline exactly what this means. You can't just be like, you're in charge now. See ya. And Elhokar's like, okay, so let's say I'm king of Alethkar, and you're like high king of Urithiru and the Shattered Plains. So as long as my people are in your territory, you get to be in charge of them. And Dalinar,
which on some level, right, it's giving Dalinar a whole bunch of power. But what he's done is, okay, I'm going to give you the power and authority here. I'm going to go back and be king like I was. But you here, this is where you have your power.
Yep.
Yeah. Enjoy your magical tower and your pile of rocks.
Yeah, so it's like he's high king, but first of all, what is high king versus king? He's just another king, right? He's broken off his territory and given it to someone else.
Yeah, he says Dalinar must stay out of direct management of my lands. He can give me commands, but I decide how to see them accomplished. So he can still tell Elhokar, like, in Alethkar, I want you to do this thing, but Elhokar decides like how it happens or whatever.
Yeah.
Is Elhokar just like first among equals as far as the other high princes go, or like?
No, I don't think so.
We need to figure out how the rules apply to them now.
Yeah, but I feel like it's very reasonable, like setting up of boundaries, where it's like Dalinar's basically just been gradually taking over, whether intentionally or not, and Elhokar's like, let's make official guidelines for how this relationship is going to work, okay? And that way, if you start pushing out of bounds, I can call you on it because we've laid out like how this is supposed to work. It seems very reasonable if you're going to insist on, making Dalinar High King. And Dalinar agrees with this, but at the same time, he feels kind of messed up about it. Like, he fought with his brother and Sadeas to create the kingdom of Alethkar, to unite all the high princes. And now that's not his land anymore. He can't even be in charge of the Kholin princedom. He has to give that up to his heir, presumably Adolin. So he's like, this is my land now, the tower covered in cold spren. And he gets the Shattered Plains, which whoop-de-doo. Isn't that a fun place?
No one cares about that now. Not since the last book.
It was very important up until then. And we transition to Elhokar being like, I want to lead our forces to Alethkar and recapture our homeland. Something is wrong in Kholinar. More than the riots and my wife's supposed behavior, more than the span reeds going still. And Dalinar's like, hey, you know what? I've actually been thinking about something. We don't need to take a giant army like marching across the world to get home. The Oathgate in Kholinar is attached right to the palace. If we get a team in there to turn it on, we can bring our troops straight to the middle of the city. He's like, a small team can reach Kholinar faster than an army, and as long as there's a radiant with them, they can sneak in and turn on the Oathgate. And Elhokar's like, that's a great idea. I'll do that. I'll lead a team to reclaim our home. And he says, ask Sudan, his wife. She's there. If the riot is happening, she's got to be fighting against it. And Dalinar's like, that's not what the reports were saying. But also, he's like, I wasn't thinking that Elhokar should go on the mission, but
So that's not what the reports were saying. Well, is that another piece of information you maybe didn't share with Elhokar?
no, I'm pretty sure Elhokar knows what the reports say.
Mm.
He just doesn't want to acknowledge, because he even says earlier in a previous paragraph, like, my wife's supposed behavior.
Yeah, I guess.
He's thinking, like, Elhokar almost died from assassins, like, not long ago. Do I really want to send him into something like this? But I'm not gonna. I can't hold him back. He's like, yeah, their king should be the one who saves them. All right, Elhokar, you do it. And this is the moment where, like, glory spren bursts around him. I only seem to see those when I'm around you, Uncle. Funny. For all that I should resent you, I don't. It's hard to resent a man who's doing his best. I'll need one of your radiants, the hero preferably. And Dal's like, wait, the hero? That's a new one. Yeah, the bridge man, the soldier. He needs to go with me, so if I screw up and fail, someone can save the city anyway. And Dalinar, it says Dalinar blinked. That's very, And Elhokar, so cheerily, is like, I've been thinking about stuff lately. The Almighty preserved me despite my stupidity. I'll bring the bridge man with me. I'll watch him and figure out why he's so special. Maybe he'll teach me. And Dalinar's like, all right.
Yeah, I think Elhokar's being pretty genuine there. He's like, I want to learn from him, but the words are dripping with that. Well, like, why is Bridge Boy so special? Like, yeah.
It sounds so genuine, like you said, that it's just like, he's just internalized this idea that I suck, Kaladin is awesome.
Yeah,
maybe
better learn how to be Kaladin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is sad.
Yeah.
And then Elhokar's like, I gotta make plans. I'm just recovering from my wounds, but I can't leave until the hero returns anyway. You think he can fly us all to my whole team to the city? So I think that he definitely knew Kaladin was not here based on that.
Okay, I must have misinterpreted it. Because I thought that's why Dalinar was getting so awkward about it all. He's like, oh, he didn't tell you he's gone.
Yeah, I wondered when you said that, and I was like, well, we'll read it. Maybe I missed something when I read it, but I don't think so.
Okay, never mind.
And it ends with like, thank you, Uncle. Thank you for believing in me, if only this small amount. And so that was real awkward for everyone except Elhokar, I guess, who kind of, was behind the whole thing. But before they can dwell on that too much, Kalami is like, Dalinar, something's happening. And she reads off, Your Majesty, I consider your offer generous and your advice wise. We have located the device you call an Oathgate. One of my people has come forward and remarkably claims to be a Radiant. Her spren directed her to speak with me. We plan to use her shard blade to test the device. If it works, I will come to you in all haste. It is well someone is attempting to organize a resistance to the evil that befalls us. The nations of Roshar must put aside their squabbles, and the reemergence of the holy city of Urithiru is proof to me that the Almighty guides your hand. So it's did you guys know before we get to the end of the letter who was writing?
No. I was like, who the hell is this who is just so happy to jump on board?
Yeah, it's like, oh my god, we finally have an ally. Ah, shit.
Shit, of course it's this guy.
Honestly, I kind of forgotten about him. It's been a while since we last heard from him.
It's been a little bit, yeah. At the end, it's like, it was sent by Teravangian, king of Yakoved and Karbran. And Dalinar's
Don't let genius boy to Urithiru. No.
Dalinar's like, oh my gosh, I wasn't expecting this. This is awesome. His elevation to King of Yakoved was widely seen as an act of spite from the former king, who hadn't wanted to give the throne to his rivals. But the war,
was, yep.
I mean, that was a contributor, I guess, to what happened. Although I think we learned that all of the other high princes were dead, so he didn't really have any rivals at that point.
True.
And he's just like, these words warmed Dalinar. Someone had listened. Someone was willing to join. Bless that man.
No, Dalinar, no.
And that's the
I'm
end
with
of the
Elhokar, actually. I want to go.
If Teravangian's coming here, let's leave.
Yeah, I want to be where Teravangian's not.
Let him use the oath gate, and we'll just pretend we're not home when he gets here. This is a recording. Okay, so Chaperone is the next chapter. And once again, it's a one-sentence preface. I ask only that you read or listen to these words. I like the inclusion, both men and women here. Read it or listen to it. And Shallan is once again living with Sabariel's group in the tower. And she's practicing with her Stormlight. And she's trying to, like, perfect her veil disguise. And there's a lot of details you got to get right, because Veil is different from her in a lot of subtle ways. And it also includes stuff like walking. Like, Veil walks very differently, so Shallan has to practice at this. She's practicing her making Veil do things, making the face motions match hers, and doing voice stuff.
Voice acting, very good.
It is basically, yeah.
Hey, Shallan, do a W.C. Fields impression or something.
Why don't you do a W.C. Fields impression for us, Dak?
No, I'm not good at that one.
Like, that's the one that comes to mind. You're like, no, I'm not good at that one, actually.
I was looking for the most obscure one I could think of. I was like, Arnie? No, too cliche. This is obscure.
Yeah, Arnie is definitely not going to be an obscure voice one.
No. Although I'd be impressed if she could do it well.
For all we know, like, one of these languages she already practices sounds just like an Austrian speaking English.
Yeah, exactly.
That's actually what are they? The Bavs? The Bavadians?
Yeah,
Bavadians?
Bavlanders or Bav, yeah.
Yeah.
That it's funny because that's the exact one that I was thinking, because that's the one that we heard earlier was like, you sound like an idiot if you like nobody thinks a second thought about you because you're so like unsophisticated when you have that accent. Which it isn't fair to Arnold, but that is absolutely the first thought that I had.
Yep.
Like, Arnold actually kind of a smart guy, in a lot of ways.
He has a PhD in economics.
Yeah, see? I mean, and as far as I can tell, he was a pretty successful governor during his governorships. So
I believe so, yes.
Not trying to insult him for sure. Not just because he could beat me up, but a lot of people can do that. I still insult them. It's fine.
Also, he seems like a genuinely nice dude.
He does. Other than, the whole cheating thing, but what are you gonna do?
Okay, fair point.
All right. She's looking through her sketchbook of different sketches she's made of different people in the tower and a veil and so on and so forth. Gotta get some practice in. And then somebody knocks on her door. Actually, not on her door. It's a wooden plate hung outside the room that they knock on, because her door is actually just a piece of cloth.
I've got a curtain. Please knock on the knocking board.
Yeah, right. And so she assumes that it's Polona, because Polona is, who else would it be, come to bring her some food. And so she's like, come in. And who comes in but Abelin, with his hands full of a whole lot of food, actually.
Well, she was half right. Someone was bringing her food.
Yeah. And she has to tuck her safe hand behind her back. That's so embarrassing. It lets me see her hand. And then she's like, out. I mean, she's also wearing just like a shift, I guess. But I love how it specifically calls out she has to hide her hand. And he backs awkwardly out the door again.
I'm absolutely with Adolin when he starts protesting. He's like, I did exactly what you told me to do. Why am I the bad guy here?
Yes. Yeah. It's he's like, you did invite me in. And she's like, I thought you were Polona. You can check to see who's at the door.
First.
Don't make this my
seconds
fault.
To just say, who is it?
She goes, you're the one slipping into ladies' bedrooms practically unannounced. And
invited.
Knocked and then invited. This is not unannounced.
And ladies' rooms, my betrothed. Like, it's not like I'm just knocking on people's doors and going on in.
And she says his knock was feminine. Did you knock with one hand or two? And he's, I'm carrying a storming platter of food. Of course it was one.
And he's like, who knocks with two?
Who does that? Seriously.
Yeah. Also, your knock was feminine. Wow, that seems...
That's not cool.
That's not cool.
And I like...
She's embarrassed. She says these things when she's embarrassed.
Yeah, she's just trying to pull anything out.
Yep. She has a whole lot of straws she's been grasping at.
Yep. And he's like, oh my gosh, can I come in now? Just so we're clear, I'm a man and you're betrothed. My name is Adolin Colin. I was born under the sign of the 9, and I have a birthmark on the back of my left thigh. Anything else you need to know? And she's like, Oh, back your left thigh, huh? What does a girl have to do to get a glimpse of that? Which really, like, I'm getting tonal whiplash from the embarrassed, how dare you, and then the like real big flirt.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
you're not allowed to see my hand, but I want to see the back of your leg.
And she's like, hold on, this dress is being weird. Give me a minute. And he's like, oh yeah, take your time. I'm not holding a plate of food and not having eaten anything today because I skipped dinner so I could dine with you. It's
Aw.
good for you. It builds strength or something. Isn't that the sort of thing you do? Strangle rocks, stand on your head, throw boulders around.
I tried to strangle a guy named Rock. He put me in a cooking pot full of shell shit.
Wow, that would be a story. Adolin wouldn't strangle Rock.
No, it's like also I like how that's the least plausible thing about that scenario.
I feel like I don't know that we've ever seen them speak to each other, but I feel like they would get along well.
Yep.
They're both very just like gregarious.
Rock would just call Adolin airsick lowlander, and Adolin would just go like, I'm a prince, right? And Rock would go, yes, prince of the airsick lowlanders, and Adolin would go, all right, fair point.
Yeah, no, he's like.
Then they have a drink.
Then they have a drink, exactly, yeah. And I like Aelin's like, what is he even with women in their underwear? Like the shift covers basically all the same stuff as a formal dress. Seems arbitrary to me. And she's like, oh yeah, we're the only ones arbitrary about clothing. A uniform's the same as anything else, right? And aren't you the one who spends afternoons looking through fashion folios? He's like, fair point. Okay. And he comes in and she gets her whole like, oh, he's so pretty and he likes me and he brought me food. Don't find a way to screw this up, Shalon.
Maybe start by
Agreed.
not calling his
Shalon,
knocks
please.
feminine.
Yeah. He's being so sweet. Just accept it. It's not something that girls often are very good at. Just accepting it, but just accept it.
It's okay. You can feel good about this. You deserve it, Shalon.
Also, not that she would probably know. Oh, actually, no, she might, because she knows about his history of dating. But it's like, I feel like Adolin is putting in all the work here that he did not put into any of his previous dating escapades.
Yeah, quite possibly. You know,
it's like, yeah, he actually really likes you. He did not try this with any of the other, like prospective dates he had. He's just like, yeah, whatever. Like, he's grown the fuck up for you.
Although I think part of it may be that we got the impression that at least one, if not multiple, of his previous relationships, there was an issue with him being kind of flirty with other girls, and the girls didn't like that. And we've seen him kind of do the same thing with her, and she's like, should I be more jealous? Should I be one of those girls? I don't think I have that in me.
I forgot that she'd seen that, honestly.
Yeah, so I'm just I think maybe he's lucked out in finding someone who he has this issue that it's not necessarily, he's going to be disloyal or anything. He's just looks at girls sometimes, and he happened to find a person who doesn't care about that particular failing that a lot of other people would.
Yeah, fair enough.
I feel like it's probably made him more inclined to want to be with her. It's like, well, I'm not a girl who's with you because you're a prince. I'm with you because I like you, and that's spoken to him more.
I would think that would speak to almost anyone in that situation, yeah.
Yeah. I like you for you, not because who you are and your titles and your land holdings and what it will do for me and my station.
And that might be hard to find in his station, yeah.
Yeah, especially considering it was supposed to be an advantageous match. Like, that was the whole thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
This will do good things for your family. But Shalon's kind of like, like it will, but if it doesn't, okay, whatever.
Well, and as I think he points out in this section, that has turned around a little bit at this point with her being a radiant. So they sit down on the floor, no chairs yet. And I like he has a moment where he's like, I just realized this is your bedroom. Like, yeah, this is my only room. So, including my Adolin says obvious things room. He's like, well, it's not proper for us to be in your bedroom alone together. She goes, oh, now you're worried about propriety? And he goes, well, I did recently get lectured about it.
A+ comeback, no notes.
Yeah. And then she's like, it wasn't a lecture. It was a creative application of my tongue to keep you distracted. And then she looks at his lips, and it gets a little bit,
Yeah, that response was phrasing.
Yep, phrasing. Exactly. She kind of calls herself on phrasing as she starts to think about, like, no. And then she's like, no, but it's okay. We're not alone. And he goes, your ego doesn't count as a separate individual, Shalon. And she says, ha, like she appreciates that quip. And then she goes, wait, you think I have an ego? She'd spent so long feeling timid that like having someone feel like she was confident, that's actually really cool. Except for the whole part where she had to admit to herself she killed her mother, and, you know, that distracts her for a second.
Yeah, thoughts about killing both your parents might be a bit of a distraction.
Yeah. And then she's like, but we're not alone. Here, Pattern, come out here. And she formally introduces Pattern and Adolin, which is very cute.
I imagine Adolin trying to shake one of Patton's tendrils.
And she says he's a cryptic. She doesn't point out like that lie spren would be another name for that. I feel like that would make you mistrust Pattern quickly if you were introduced as this is a spren of lying. So, and she shows off her light weaving a little bit by making a little hologram of Adolin in her hand. And he's like, why do you insist on like hiding this and pretending you're like, because they've spread around that she is an else caller like Yasna was, not a light weaver. And he's like, why do you hide this from everybody? And I feel like it's weird that no one understands, because she's explained this before, that it's like, I can make images to fool people, but that's only useful if they're not looking for me to do it. This could give us an edge. I guess no one
would expect her to do it. Like, no one would expect her to be being deceptive. So, yeah, like, no one thinks they're going to look for it. Like, why would they look for it? Even if they knew, because you wouldn't do that because you're a lady and blah, blah, blah. But
oh, maybe, yeah. That's an interesting point. That it might be very unladylike to, but I think a military mind like Adolin would appreciate the potential for like spying or, you know, useful things like that. But maybe he doesn't think about her that way.
No.
And so she says, Pattern, you're going to be our chaperone. And he goes, what's that? And she's like, it's someone who watches two young people and makes sure they don't do anything inappropriate. And then absolutely one of my favorite lines of the chapter, inappropriate, such as dividing by 0. And Shalom goes, what? And she looks at Adolin, who also does not understand.
Yes, Patton. Dividing by 0. That's the thing I'm worried about right now.
And so they sit down and eat while Pattern watches from a crack. Or no, I'm sorry. It says, from the side of a bowl, content like a crumling snuggled into its crack. Misread that for a second. And there's a great little, in my Kindle, it shows how many people have highlighted various bits. In this section, 6,800 people had highlighted that dividing by 0 line, but almost 12,000 have highlighted the trick to happiness wasn't in freezing every momentary pleasure and clinging to each one, but in ensuring one's life would produce many future moments to anticipate. That is kind of a nice little sentiment.
That is sweet.
Adolin convinces her to try some men's food, and she's like, don't think I didn't notice that you picked the spiciest thing that she sent. But then she's like, you know, maybe I will take a little taste. And Pattern's like, wait, is this an inappropriate thing? Am I supposed to stop you from doing this? And Shalon says no, and then thinks, maybe someone who believes everything I tell them isn't the best chaperone. And she tries some, and it is super spicy, and she hates him and herself after that. She drinks all of her water and then drinks his water too, just to show him.
I love that she wasn't just regretting her choice of curry. It was like she's regretting all of her life choices at this point. No, that is too hot. I'm out. I'm done.
Oh man, it's funny to me that how they have this separate men and women's food and that it's so different.
Adolin's like, are you using Stormlight to heal yourself from the curry pain? Yes.
My wife likes her food way spicier than I do, so I like this is just weird to me.
Never and that's to be a spice fan, but now I'm more into it. But I'm not for the really heavy stuff. I would still call myself mid-level spice at most for me.
Your palate has developed a bit. You can appreciate it more. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm the same way. When I was young, I didn't do spice a lot, and now I can appreciate a decent level of spice. Still not like real hot, but
yeah.
I think it's also though because in Texas where I live, if it's spicy, it probably had jalapeno in it, and I don't like the taste of jalapeno. So
that's fair.
When I was a kid, I always thought like I don't like anything spicy, and as I grew up, I realized I just really don't like that taste. Other spice, like we go to the Thai place and I'll get like their middle spicy thing because I can do some spice in that and it's fun. Anyway, random sidetrack. And then this is the moment where Pattern gets it. Oh, you were talking about mating. I'm to make sure you don't accidentally mate, as mating is forbidden by human society until you have performed appropriate rituals.
Accidentally.
Accidentally.
I love that word. It's like, whoops.
Adolin gets up and Patton jumps at him. It's like, no, Adolin, don't trip.
What I want is the pattern. I want a pattern perspective chapter where he's sort of paying attention to what's going on, but then he's thinking about things. And you just go down this train of thought as per pattern, and then you emerge back into the conversation. Because that would be great. I just love the idea that he sat on the side of the bowl the whole time thinking, what could Shallan possibly be talking about? I got it. I'm going to make this more awkward.
I didn't know I needed that until you said it, and now I absolutely agree. That would be the best.
Yeah.
That raises a question. I know it's like there's been the joke about a chapter from the perspective of the stick with the I am a stick chapter.
Yep.
But would it be a spoiler to tell us if there is at any point ever a chapter or a part of a chapter or an interlude from the perspective of a spren?
So I'll throw you a little bone on that.
Without asking which spren.
I remember for sure, and I off the top of my head, I can't speak for the rest of this book or the next book, but since I've recently read book 5, Wind and Truth, I remember for sure that there is a spren who is a pretty major viewpoint character.
Oh, neat. Okay.
Ooh.
Cool. Just, yeah, interesting to get inside the head of a spren, because I imagine they would think differently to a people.
Right? Yeah. Jimmy has me imagining like what train of thought led to his figuring that out. It's like, oh, it's mating. That's what you're talking about.
Dividing by 0? No. Multiplying? Oh, yeah.
That's great. Okay.
It's got to be related to math somewhere.
Everything is related to math. Shallan is totally humiliated by this. And then Pattern goes, very well, you two. No mating, all in caps. And then hums happily to himself.
Also, you think about it, it's like, it's the first time I'm introducing my spren to my boyfriend. I hope everything goes okay. Oh, God, he won't shut up about sex. It's like introducing your kid brother to your partner, and they just ask all the inappropriate teenage questions.
Oh, yeah, I could see that. And Shallan's like, can we talk about anything else right now?
I would like to talk about how much I want to die right now.
And all the sexual tension in the room is gone.
Adolin pulls out a notebook and says, May Aladar sent teams to question Vedek Perel's family and friends. They discovered where he was before he died, or Vedekar, not Vedek. Sorry. Vedek is a Bajoran religious position, and I'm in the middle of my watch through of all Star Treks. I'm doing Deep Space Nine and The Next Generation right now, so Vedek is in my brain. But anyway, and it's interesting. I did not remember her being mentioned here. May Aladar at some point, that's High Prince Aladar's daughter, and we'll see more of her at a later point. I didn't even remember that she was introduced this early.
Neat. So I guess Aladar definitely has a wife somewhere then.
Somewhere, yeah, presumably.
Unless May is illegitimate. Could be. We don't know.
Or her mom could be dead.
Yeah.
That happens. And he's got some books on Makabaki politics. Since you didn't seem to know much, I thought maybe I got you some books that I enjoyed. He's like, wait, books? You? Like, yeah. Yasna and Aunt Navani made certain that my youth was filled with interminable periods listening to Ardents lecture me. Some of it stuck in my brain, against my natural inclinations. Adolin. He's like, look, I know I'm the dumb guy who hit stuff, but some things are stuck in there. And she goes, that was really thoughtful, Adolin, thank you. And he goes, well, I figured if we're going to move forward with the betrothal, and then he trails off. And she's like she kind of panics inside, like, wait, why wouldn't we? And he goes, well, I don't know. You're a radiant, Shallan, some kind of half-divine being from mythology. All along, I thought we were giving you a favorable match. And he says that he just keeps worrying he's going to screw this up somehow. And she's like, wait, you're worried that you're going to screw this up? And he's like, I'm not good at relationships, okay? And I love her perspective. This is one that I would highlight, where she's like, is there anyone who is? Is there anyone out there who just looks at relationships and goes, you know what? I got this. Because that feels very true to me, but I could be wrong. And she points out, he's like, no, it's worse for me. And she's like, look, the first guy that I was romantically interested in was A, an ardent, and B, an assassin who almost killed me with bread. And he's like, wait, really, an assassin? I want to hear that story. And she's like, Fortunately, I just told it to you. Like, there's not that much more to it. He was so incredibly sweet to me that I can almost forgive him for trying to kill me. Which, that's pretty generous, I feel like.
I feel like the only other way Cabsal could have been introduced to Adolin, like the story of Cabsal, would be as if he'd brought her jam. And she'd be like, I don't really do jam. Please don't bring that to me.
I bet anything that Shallan still does jam. She's probably like, ooh, I love jam. Gimme. Funny story. An Ardent once tried to kill me with bread and jam.
To be fair, tried to kill her with the bread, not the jam. So I guess jam's okay.
They say the best way to overcome your trauma is to confront yourself with it. So it's like she's just eaten all the jam.
There you go. Yeah, that's how you get over it. Eat lots of bread.
I mean, that was basically Patton said, hey, you need to face up to what you did. It's like, all right, fine. I killed my parents. There we go. You good? All right. Now how do we eat all this jam?
No, it's got to be the bread. She's gonna have to pull a Scott Pilgrim and just eat garlic bread all the time without stopping.
There's gonna be a scene later where like Dalinar and Elhokar and Navani are just like, all right, what's the current status on Urithiru? How's everything going? All right, we've moved everyone off the Shattered Plains. We're getting all the supplies through. For some reason, our jam storage has just been depleted. We don't know why. And Shallan's in the corner just like, yeah, how about that?
It's like someone got the keys to the national jam stores, emergency stores, and they're just gone.
She wouldn't need the key. Patton can do that.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Shallan is like the corgi from that picture we saw, just like over in the corner, covered with jam, passed out.
Yep. And then like, you know, months and months later, or however long it takes, like Yasna shows up and she's like, all right, time to unfuck this situation. Goes through all the problems, gets to the jam thing, and then just goes, oh no, looks over at Shallan, who's like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, because Yasna's the only one who would know about her love of jam necessarily. That's a good point. It's like Adolin spends the whole book trying to hide that he killed Sadeas, and Shallan's hiding the bigger secret that she's the one who stole the jam. Oh. I like her comeback, or he says, you shouldn't tell me about your past lovers. You'll make me jealous. And she's like, dude, from what I've heard, I'd have to go to Herdaz to find an eligible woman you haven't pursued. And he goes, are you mocking my failings? And she goes, no, I'm lauding them. If you hadn't screwed up every other relationship, you wouldn't be here with me. So really, you're the best at relationships because you ruined the wrong ones. Which it's a long way to go, but it's a sweet sentiment for sure.
Yeah, the intent was there.
Yeah. And then they kiss, and it's her heart is fluttering, and it's so cute. And Pattern's like, no mating. And she looks over, and Pattern's just hovering right next to them. And the chapter ends with like, look, neither of us is going to screw this up, okay? And now let's see what we can figure out about this murderer. So it's not like a chapter where a whole lot happens of great import. Kind of in the last chapter, we have like meetings of the world leaders and things. This one is a very cute Adolin Shallan relationship chapter, and I'm here for it, honestly. And then we get our last one for this episode, Squires Can't Capture. And the writer of Oathbringer says, in this record, I hold nothing back. I will try not to shy away from difficult topics or paint myself in a dishonestly heroic light.
And I can't wait for you to get there to tell us something.
Yeah, actually tell us something and not just tell us about what you're going to tell us.
Look at you dancing around it. Dancy.
Well, it's the preface. You're not supposed to get deep into things in the preface.
I know, but they still at least discuss the topics of the book in some way.
So Kaladin has tracked the Voidbringers. And he's sneaking through the trees, these monstrous terrors from the mythological past, enemies of all that was right and good, destroyers who laid waste to civilization countless times. They were playing cards. And I feel like we learned a little bit, like they have these wood cards here, and this is actually a nice deck. It's been treated with because if you go somewhere on Roshar, there's high storms, things are going to be wet. These are cards that don't get destroyed when they get wet.
I fucking love that touch.
Yeah. I actually have some plastic cards for similar reasons. Not because we have high storms, but because if I'm going to travel with a deck of cards, I'd rather be prepared. And so Syl and Kaladin are spying on this group. They have marbled red and white skin rather than the red on black that R'lain from Bridge 4 has. They're not wearing war form. They're wearing some other like they didn't wear some terrible powerful form either. They were just like squat and bulky. They've got a full head of hair. I feel like this is like work form or something, but Kaladin doesn't know the name of the forms, so it's hard to know. It's hard for us to know.
Crabs with hair is just such a weird concept.
It is a little bit weird.
Just picturing a crab with an afro now.
We'll run into one of those, sure.
Thank
yeah.
you.
I had to suffer it, now everyone else does.
For some reason, when you said that and my brain brought up a crab with an afro, it's a crab Bob Ross. Like, not only does he have like a big afro hair, but he's got like a paintbrush.
Crab Ross.
Yeah.
And we're going to put some happy little parchment over there.
Some happy little rocks. Here's the storm. Like, crab Bob Ross just draws high storms.
I'm not very good at Kremlings, but that's okay.
Every scene is like very pretty, like mountains or trees or whatever, and then there's a high storm in the back.
Yeah. Crab Ross.
And he notices that like they're just wearing like simple slave smocks and they don't have red eyes. Maybe those change like his eyes do. And there's a female and a male parchment here, and they are discussing this card game. It's like, wait, can you do that? You said squires can't capture. And he's like, yeah, unless another card of mine is touching yours, I think. And they speak Alethi with no hint of an accent, he thinks. He wouldn't have been able to tell these voices from any dark-eyed person in his village, for instance. And the female's like, so you're saying you don't know how to play this game? And the guy's like, I should know, Ken. How many times did I watch them play while I stood there with a tray of drinks? I should be an expert at this, shouldn't I? And the female's like, apparently not. And gets up and leaves.
Damn, and how's that first date going there, crab buddy?
Yeah, maybe. I was wondering if that's what it was. Yeah.
Ask her to mate with me. No.
Yeah, okay. It can't go much worse than Zoidberg dates. So.
Also, given the prominence of crabs on this planet, I'm amazed we haven't made more Zoidberg comparisons.
Yeah, there really should be a lot of Zoidberg happening. You're right.
Yeah.
Our sign-off should have been in Zoidberg voice. Or a Zoidberg quote. I can't do a good Zoidberg impression. So.
Well, the Parshendi army is here. Also Zoidberg.
And their friend Jesus. Kaladin notices that the grain they stole is like just thrown in a heap and not like really protected. It's gotten all soggy. And they're not like cooking it or anything. They're just grabbing like soggy handfuls and munching on them because they don't have any bowls either. And he's like, oh, that's not good.
Kaladin, you don't know how their digestive tracts work. Maybe it's healthier for them to eat it like that.
It's true, it could be, but he's just remembering back to his time as a slave and how much when he had to eat like this mushy, awful stuff like that. And Kaladin starts whispering to Syl, like, this is wrong. We've been wrong. Like, these aren't destroyers. What happened to the beast with red eyes that were crushing Dalinar's army? We thought we understood, but something is... And then a shrill voice says, alarm, alarm, you fools. Which I rarely hear somebody shout just alarm. Like, it reminds me of that scene from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade where the Nazi lady looks at them in the fireplace and smiles and then screams alarm. Just such an odd... Like, don't scream alarm. Yell what you want people to know. But a yellow ribbon streaks through the air, and the voice says, he's there, you're being watched. Beneath the shrubs. And the Parshmen have, like, cudgels and branches and broom handles, and Kaladin's like, I mean, I could take them all, even without Stormlight. Like, look at how they're holding those. Clearly, they have no training in weapons at all. But he's not going to do that. He says no, and then holds up his hands and says, I surrender. And that's the end of our chapter, except that we get, after that, the next page is from Shallan's sketchbook, and it says corridor. It's a real creepy, it's like a Slender Man drawing. I don't know what the hell's going on here.
Oh, I didn't see that. That was over the page, so I didn't turn it.
Yeah, it's an odd drawing. But anyway, so we'll move into predicaments. We have 3 chapters again for next time. And so the chapter titles are, Chapter 15 is called Brightness Radiant, which, if you'll recall, is what they've been calling Shallan. Chapter 16 is called Wrapped 3 Times. And Chapter 17 is called Trapped in Shadows. So there we go. What do you guys think? Where are we going? What's going to happen? Any theories about what the hell is up with the Voidbringers? We talked about that some already, but that's the big thing at the end of these chapters. So.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I mean, the Parshmen / Voidbringers, I feel like I sort of thought they're converging somewhere is what I thought, but they're, I guess, less sophisticated than I would have thought. Like I don't know. I was taken a bit aback by just how, yeah, I guess unsophisticated they are. Like in terms of weapons, they're not cooking. They don't have actual weapons. They're talking about broom handles. They're huddled. They're scared. So that surprised me a little bit more than I was expecting it to. I still think they're going to converge, and I think there's something in it about when they were talking about exchanging contracts and things. I thought there could actually still be that initial group of Parshendi, because they wouldn't have sent everyone to the battle in the Shattered Plains. I am wondering whether we have Eshonai, or perhaps Eshonai's sister, still around calling some shots. It would feel a bit strange to negotiate with one set of people and not another, but I guess I probably wouldn't want to be negotiating with the people I just fought against. So yeah, it kind of makes some sense there. The picture that I'm building in my head is that they're still going to converge somewhere, and whether they have to be trained into something, or like they're going to almost replenish the Parshendi people. But what they're going to do, how they're going to train them, what forms are they going to take, I don't know how that's going to look yet. Plus, we can see that there is a definite change in appearance. So Kaladin was saying these ones were red and white, whereas the Voidbringers that Yasna was even talking about were definitely red and black. So I don't know, maybe it's some of them are and some of them aren't. Maybe some of them have been transformed and others are just like, well, I guess we're free, move on out. I don't know. I guess we'll find out a little bit more soon, because Kaladin's allowed himself to be taken by them. So I'm really interested to see where that part of the story goes. For our chapters this week, I would say we've probably got a Shallan chapter coming up, or it's someone talking about Shallan, and I'm not sure who that would be necessarily, but I think I like the idea of it being a Shallan chapter. I really loved the Shallan and Adolin chapter, but we would need to get some substance from Shallan, I guess, soon. Wrapped 3 times. No idea what that's about. And Trapped in Shadows. I don't know. Maybe another Kaladin perspective. Yeah, I don't really know what's happening there. I hope that I really want to get inside Adolin's head soon, because, you know, certainly that interaction he's had with Shallan doesn't appear to be anything wrong, anything bothering him, which we know that there is. But I'd love to know what's going on in his head, and starting to see into that investigation of how he's going to solve the additional murder. Taravangian, kind of hoping there's a really long time before we see Taravangian. I kind of expect Taravangian to play the long game. We know that he was coming for Dalinar with the assassin in white. So whether, now that he doesn't have control over Seth, how is he still going down that path of, I have to have Dalinar assassinated somehow, and I'm going to do it myself, because who can you trust if not yourself? I think that will play out over a longer period of time. Personally, I hope someone takes Taravangian out much quicker than that, but you know, maybe he's being built up to be our big bad for this book or a couple of books. I mean, he's certainly not been good in any other book, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Hoping we see another gate open soon. I think it'll be cool to explore other areas of Roshar a little bit more, because they've obviously got very different customs and ways of living and all that sort of stuff. So I think that would be really cool. But yeah, it's still pretty early days. Lots of broad ideas, I guess, about what could happen.
We're definitely. I'm hopeful that you are correct here, that we will be learning more about the Parchment soon, because, like you say, Kaladin has now allowed himself to be captured, which you could see as like a bad idea until you remember that he's like, oh, I could easily beat this entire group of people with my shard blade. So unless they have some way to like counteract that, then being captured isn't that big a deal, because he can get free whenever he wants.
Yeah, I like from this group maybe he can, but maybe wherever they're going. I mean, I think they're acting out of fear now, not necessarily about. Oh yes, we've got Kaladin, fantastic. That's what we were aiming for. They're being spied upon and got to take him in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Kaladin will be able to get out at any time. I'd like to think maybe he'd befriend them or something like that, but I don't know. We don't know much about them yet, so.
Yeah, we really have no idea what they're gonna do now that they've captured him. Like, are they gonna kill him or try to kill him? I doubt they're gonna be able to successfully kill him. But if not, it seems like intentionally getting captured might be the best way to get information.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I think it will be invaluable.
Yeah. But I also agree that it would be nice if we saw another gate open up soon, so that we just have some more places we can travel to. We've spent enough time on the Shattered Plains for the rest of our lives, probably at this point. Going back there is boring.
Yeah, it could work on the flip side too. You know, obviously we've got the gates in Urithiru. Who's to say? Like they're talking about our characters that we know going to other places, but who's to say someone won't open a gate or has already opened a gate on their side and will storm Urithiru as well? So there's a bit of a risk there that I don't think they've taken into account yet.
That's fair. Also, another interesting point that you made is we have not revisited Eshonai or Venli or any of those original Parshendi since the end of that last book. So where have they ended up? What are they doing? We know they're not in control of the city where they were staying before, because that's where the Oathgate is. The Alethi have conquered that. So where have they gotten to?
Exactly.
So many questions, so few answers. And every time we get an answer, it just leads to more questions.
There's always another question.
It's true. It's true.
I think I'm basing this off the dumbest of reasons, but I think that Kaladin's like, oh yeah, I surrender, and the Parshman Voidbringer's gonna be like, okay, guys, what the fuck do we do now?
Yeah, maybe.
It's like we don't know what we're doing. Like, this is not something we have context for, because we've seen, like with the cards, it's like it feels like the Parshmen don't really have the level of sentience that humans do, and the Storm has suddenly granted that to them, and so now they're basically trying to put lives together based on stuff they've saw. They weren't involved with the taking and keeping of prisoners, so they're going to be like, we know that's a thing, but how's this normally work? And the dumb reason that I've based this on is the fact that I know it's spelled differently, but the only one whose name we know is Ken. I'm just like, oh, they just got like really old-fashioned, you know, like these are the names of people you might meet in, like, you know, Midsummer Murders or something on the countryside. We're next we're going to meet Graham or Rowena, and there's going to be like just like the Parshmen are all just going to be like these chilled old people who would just be like, oh, we don't really get this whole newfangled thing of kingdoms and conquest and stuff. We just want to live and, you know, be happy and have a spot of tea at 5.
Who doesn't want that? Really?
Yeah. And it's like, you know, he interrupted the card game. They were just trying to start a bridge club.
He didn't really interrupt the card game, to be fair. They'd stopped playing before they found him.
No, you never know. Ken might have tried to go, oh, wait, no, I remember the rules now.
Ken was the female one.
Was it?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Khen. Which I pronounce as Ken. I guess it could be like Ken. I don't know.
Because I hear Ken, and my mind immediately goes to Brendan Gleeson in Bruges.
Not the first place my mind goes. But...
Mine goes, hi Barbie, hi Ken.
Yeah, that's
ride?
more where
sure,
I was.
That's fair. Just people have different contexts for things. Yeah, no, like I just like Brendan Gleeson crab playing cards. But yeah, so I feel like that's where Kaladin's going to leave off, and it's going to be kind of like this awkward standoff where he's like, no, I surrender, and it's like, yeah, we get it, we just don't know what to do next.
You wait over there while we discuss this.
Do we have any handcuffs? Or so I think that, you know, this, like, the conversation between Dalinar and Elhokar has really snapped Dalinar to the fact that we got to get Elhokar doing something that he wants to do. He's made a point. He's trying to be active. He's got Glory Spren going on. We got to give him something, or else, like, just in order to try and hold it together. So I think he might acquiesce to Elhokar's decision to go back to the capital of Alethkar. But they don't have Kaladin, so maybe he will send Renarin instead, because Renarin Renarin is a Radiant. He's a Shard Bearer, so he can still do the job. He knows Elhokar quite well, but he's also a Bridge 4. So maybe Elhokar will accept that as like, okay, so we've got a Shard Bearer who has learned under Kaladin. That might be enough to pacify Elhokar. Maybe, who knows? But also, like he knows Renarin, so they might be able to work well together.
Yeah, they're cousins, so
yeah. So yeah, like that might be a good little, join up between that. Maybe Renarin can actually do something too.
That would give us a good opportunity for Renarin to kind of like step into the light. That would be nice.
Yeah, and we can sort of see what it is he does, because I still got no fucking idea, honestly.
Yeah, he watches, is what he said. Like, that's all we got.
What does that mean?
He's like, I see. It's like,
yeah.
All right. I see too, man, but it's not a superpower. I don't know what to tell you.
I see without my glasses. Because he healed those, didn't he?
Oh, that's true. I hadn't even thought of that. Yeah. He's like, I make glasses no longer needed. It's great.
Yep. But yeah, so I feel like, because they don't know when Kaladin's coming back. Kaladin doesn't know when Kaladin's coming back. They don't really have time to wait. If they really want to get on top of the situation in Alethkar, they need to get on it now.
Yeah, but they also need a way to Alethkar. They're like, maybe Kaladin can fly us there, because it's not close.
Well, that's the other thing. Like, if I know they said now that Kaladin is no longer around, like Bridge 4 aren't manifesting their powers, but maybe they'll find some way around that. Like, you take Renarin, Bridge 4, Elhokar, and maybe the little Windrunner juniors can tap their powers enough to get them back.
That would be nice.
Again, Renarin is part of Bridge 4, so it's like, oh, he's just taking the squad.
Yeah, he's part of the team. It's all good.
Maybe if they put all their Stormlight power into Rock, I presume Rock will also be a Windrunner. They can all just climb on his back and he can jump.
Rock the magic carpet.
Yeah. Magic school rock. That was a reach. Yeah,
it's a little bit, but I got it.
Yeah.
I like this idea. Like, I honestly, I kind of like any idea that would let Renarin get a little more attention, and because I agree, he's freaking mysterious, and I want to know what's up. So that would be nice.
I like the characters. Like, all right, you're clearly being set up for something. Waiting for you to. What's that meme with like the guy poking something with a stick? It's like, come on, do something.
You know the payoff's coming at some point, but
just don't know what form it will take.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, if they need a Radiant and Kaladin's not here, they've got exactly two options, because Dalinar, the Stormfather's like, no, I'm not going to be a sword, and also Dalinar's probably not leaving Urithiru right now, so
no,
you got Renarin, you got Shallan, so
that we know of.
No, that's fair.
So someone might show up at some point who turns out to be a who's someone? May Aladar. You mentioned her. Then you said we'll see her soon. Maybe she's a Radiant. Who knows?
Yeah, could be. Well, apparently Taravangian has a Radiant that he's going to show up with. So
I don't want his Radiance. I don't want him.
I feel like that Radiant is already tainted by association.
It's like, oh yeah, this is my Radiant, Blood Nurse. Why is she called Blood Nurse? Personal reasons.
It's just a fun nickname we have. Don't worry about it.
That doesn't sound fun. Oh, trust me, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Are you going to explain it? No.
You had to be there. So much blood. Anyway.
People of Urithiru, here are your Radiants. Shallan, Renarin, and Blood Nurse.
So, if we end up with Renarin, Bridge 4, and Elhokar heading back to Kholinar to save the day, do they succeed?
Good question. I haven't got that far.
Okay, fair.
I don't see Elhokar succeeding, frankly, because as you pointed out, he doesn't believe his wife done anything wrong. So when he gets there and finds out what's actually going on, he's gonna I don't see him taking that information too well, and he would not be in a position to accomplish his mission. So I think it would all be on Renarin and probably Teft.
That's where Teft finally gets. Somebody's like, here, you take this shard blade, Teft. Save the day.
He can't take a dead one. It's got to be a live one.
Yeah, we did talk about the possibility that maybe he couldn't do the dead one either. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm still waiting for Teft to save the day.
One of these days, you'll get your day in the sun, Teft, and you, Renarin.
Maybe Teft will kill Moash.
I would not object to that.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, I doubt many people would.
We have no idea where Moash is at this point. What if Taravangian shows up and like his radiant is Moash?
That would be problematic.
That's a good word for it. Yeah.
No, Taravangian wouldn't be that dense unless he's having a really dense day, and then his guys would not. But they would know if they showed up in Urithiru with one of the two guys who try to kill Elhokar. That would blow the chances. Because
that would look bad. Yeah.
It's like, okay, maybe no one else knows who Graves is. And Kaladin's not there. Maybe they can get away with Graves, at least until Kaladin gets back. But if they show up with Moash, all of Bridge 4 knows who Moash is. They know what he's done. They will recognize him and just go, so that's one of the assassins? I mean, fuck, Dalinar probably knows who Moash is. He seemed to know the members of Bridge 4 quite well. He would probably recognize Moash and go, excuse me, I'm just going to pump this dude off the side of the tower.
No, that's a good point. Yeah, that would be a bad idea. Although Jamie did bring up that it's like, what is Taravangian's plan now? Is he coming here to personally oversee the murder of Dalinar? Or has the discovery of Urithiru and the rise of the Knights Radiant, which his diagram was specifically trying to prevent, has this changed the calculation? Are we going to be friends with Taravangian now? Like, what do you... And
hell no, we are not being friends with Taravangian.
Okay.
I don't know what his angle is. I'm sure he's got one, but no, he is still the villain of the picture. I am reasonably certain. Maybe he's coming here to steal the Stormfather. Who knows?
I want that Spren.
He's gonna chuck the storm in a bag and make free with it.
That'd be impressive.
Yeah.
What do you think, Jamie? Since you're the one who first brought it up, do you think that Taravangian is gonna change tacks, or is he still after murdering Dalinar in some way?
I think Taravangian's probably still out for Dalinar. Maybe he'll just go with taking out all the Knights Radiant. I don't know. Maybe Taravangian is his own Knight Radiant. Maybe it's just him, which would suck. He's definitely not got an honest friend, that's for sure.
That seems unlikely, yeah.
He's going to be the king of everything. Well, that's his thing, right? He's trying to be the king of everything.
Yeah, I believe so.
Because he's still going with the whole unite them thing, but taking a completely different approach. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what his angle's going to be.
Fair. He's a bit of a question mark, that fella. All right, let's do. We've got another new patron this week, but we'll continue to save those for Joe. We have a couple. One of these emails has a review attached. We'll save that one for when Joe's back too. So we got one pretty short email here. This email is from Julia, and it says, "See you in a couple of months. Hi, squad. I started listening a couple months ago since no one in my life is reading these books with me and have loved from the start. Sadly, I'm reading in a different order. Mistborn 1, Stormlight up towards Rhythm of War, Mistborn 2, Secret History. So, after finishing Hero of Ages episode, it will be a while until I can listen again. I'm about 40% done with Oathbringer, and then reading Dawn Shard and Rhythm of War, hoping to be back in about 5 months, but will miss your banter in the meantime. Can't wait to eventually hear everyone's Stormlight archive thoughts. Wasing to the time of next, Julia." So it'll be a while before Julia hears that.
She'll still get to it before we finish this book.
It could happen, yeah, very easily. Now that you say that, I'm thinking about we're now, what episode is this? This is episode 5 of this book out of 39. So, yeah. We got a bit of a ways to go. It's true. But we're now at the end of that chapter. We are 12% of the way through the book. So, there's that. It's an interesting, I get why she chose that reading order, Mistborn Era 1, and then Stormlight through Rhythm of War. I wonder, are you reading? You really should do Elantris and Warbreaker in there somewhere. Way too late now, by the time you hear this, to have that feedback, but still. And I guess putting Secret History out after Bands of Mourning, that's where a lot of people want to place it, so makes sense.
I just did the count, so like assuming we don't miss any weeks, yeah, we would finish this book at the end of the year. So it would be like the last one of the last days of December when we finish the book.
Wow.
That'd be right after the next convention, the next Dragonsteel, which tickets are going on sale in June apparently. There's been some buzz that they're going to use a different platform to sell tickets, and they may be doing some sort of lottery system. So
after the disaster of the last year's ticketing system.
Yeah. I don't mind a new ticketing platform. I'm a bit worried about the potential for a lottery system if that means everyone is just in a lottery to like get tickets. I
guess
know.
that might come down to the capacity thing, because you said like the center had the place where it's held had a certain capacity for people, and they came very close to pushing it or something.
Well, no, the place where it was held actually could have fit way more, but it was just they have a thing where they're like, we're not going to give you more space unless you've proved from previous years that you need that much space. And so this last year they were like, look, we're going to need way more space because this is a big year. There's going to be a lot of people interested. And the committee who's in charge of that, because the center is owned by the city, the committee is just like, no, we don't think that you've proved with previous year's crowds that you need as much space as you say you need. So we're going to give you the same space you had the year before, or the same amount of space as the year before, basically. And it was a large contributor to the fact that people wanted way more tickets than were available. But this year, because of last year, it seems that they will be getting a bigger area. So more tickets will be available. And
that's good.
Potentially, since it's not like a big Stormlight year like the last one, maybe fewer people will be trying to go.
I mean, he puts out a book a year. Is there going to be another? What's the release for this year? Or
the release for this year?
I imagine Ember Dark doesn't count because it's getting sent out in a few months.
I think at this point, if the last update I feel like said it's like the beginning of next year or something, but I don't remember what it said. But no,
I just assume he has a new book every year, and like we're trying to play catch up. And every time we finish a book, another one comes out.
Usually he arranges at least one of his book releases for the year to coincide with the convention. So yes, there will be one this year. It is called Tailored Realities, and it is a non-Cosmere short story collection.
Oh, neat.
So it'll have a new novella, Moment Zero, which he read a piece of at the convention last year. It will have Perfect State that we read.
Oh.
It will have Snapshot, which is one that we haven't read. Defending Elysium, which we also haven't read. And then the thing says 5 other previously published short stories. So I don't know what those will be. But
maybe we'll get that one when it comes out. We can at least, if we want to reread some of those.
Yeah.
Because, like Jamie, you've said multiple times, like you loved Perfect State.
Yeah, I really liked that one. That was good fun.
It'd be nice to have that in book form.
Yeah, I mean, when that comes out, I was thinking that we may go ahead and order it for y'all anyway, because if we get to any of those stories, it'll be a convenient way to read them. All the Cosmere stuff.
We need to just buy a week or two.
Well, that's true too. But I mean, all the Cosmere stuff is set to go after. Is on my list, or all the non-Cosmere stuff is on my list for after we finish the Cosmere, which obviously is a long way off. So yeah, we can grab some stuff to squeeze in here and there. Moment Zero was kind of. He read like a couple chapters of it, I think, and it was weird. So I'll be interested to see the whole thing when it comes out. But yeah, gonna try to make it to the convention again this year, assuming that we can snag some tickets for myself and my wife. After she'd read a few of his books, basically, I convinced her to read like the original Mistborn trilogy and I think Elantris and Warbreaker early on in our marriage. But it's just she's like, I have to be in the right mood. So she never read any more of his stuff. Since we went to the convention last year, she asked me like for the list, and I gave her the same order list that we're following for the podcast, and she's been gradually reading through them all. She's she's like, I have to be in the right mood for like a fantasy story like that. So she'll read like a couple other books, and then she'll be like, yeah, let's do another Brandon Sanderson. I think she just did Emperor's Soul last week or something. So
that's fair.
She seems to be enjoying that at least. So that's good. She was like, if she wanted to go to the convention again, she's like, I want to know what's going on. I'm gonna read this stuff. Sometime after we bought the tickets last year, I bought her a physical copy of The Way of Kings. And I was like, it's going to be a big Stormlight thing. So maybe if you at least have read The Way of Kings, you'll understand some of what's happening. But she never got around to reading that. So she had no idea what any of the Stormlight stuff was. Good times. Okay, that was the only email that we were going to go through. So thank you, Julia. If anyone wants to send us an email, the address is thesanderlanche@gmail.com. Find us on Instagram and Blue Sky and Patreon, where I continue to read Wind and Truth and My reactions are posting as I read for the first time. Yesterday, our most recent one that went up was chapters 78 through 80. So progress is being made. Gradual
How many chapters
progress.
are there?
Let's see. The last one is chapter 147 to the end is what the file is titled. So at least
yikes.
147. Yeah. It is not a small book, y'all. It is so large, in fact, that if I recall correctly, there is no Ars Arcanum because they had to cut that out to fit more story into the story. So,
Wow.
the publisher's like, we cannot print any more book in this book, so you have to cut some stuff.
We are booked out.
It's maximum book. It's a really thick book.
It is a really thick book. You know, getting it back when we got on the plane, I flew Southwest, which in the U.S. is one of the few airlines that was still doing free checked bags. You get 2 free checked bags as long as they're under 50 pounds. And I put mine on the scale, and it was like, this is 53 pounds. You can take some stuff out of it, or you could pay $150. So I guess it's like $50 per pound over. And so I went in there and I pulled out that book, and I'm pretty sure that got me the whole way there. I pulled out some other stuff too, but it was like I pulled out the book and a couple other things, and I had removed like 7 pounds. And so I was like, oh, I could have just taken out the book. I think it would have been fine. It is a big book.
I like maximum book.
And it really makes you laugh when you think that they couldn't do those last 2 Dresden Files books as one book. His publisher's like, no, it's too much. And then you look over at like a Stormlight book and you're like, yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm.
And sorry, pet peeve, distracted from what we're doing here.
Sorry, let's stay distracted. Speaking of, any further news on when that comes out? I'm not on Twitter X, so I don't know. That's where Jim posts his updates, because like last I've checked the website and it just says it's 100%, and that's all it says.
Actually, I think, hold on, we'll go to his Twitter and see if. Oh no, this X, Twitter, whatever. This can't be where he's posted all of the updates, because the most recent one is like 2023.
You sent me the tweet.
Like yeah, I thought I did.
Like,
maybe that was like a Blue Sky or something. Hold on, I got to go back and look at what I sent you.
Huh.
Because I remember sending you, seeing the thing and sending it to you. Yeah, that long shot author, that's him.
Maybe it's just like.
Oh, that looks like the X logo on there too.
Yeah, yeah. Twitter is just like I think it just organizes things not chronologically anymore.
Oh, that could be the problem here. Yeah, is there a way to filter to look at the newest?
I don't know.
I don't know. Let me scroll 2020, 2023. It does seem to be randomly dispersed in here. Some 2018, some 2019, some 2023. Just as I scroll through, that's kind of strange. Are they just trying to work on the worst way to organize X? Because
probably
that sure seems like a thing. Well, maybe I'm not logged in. Maybe that's the problem.
That's right. If we can't find it, no biggie.
Well, now I want to know. Oh, fine. Be that way. Now I'm gonna have to. I want to know. I feel like there was something. 12 months release date was something posted 9 hours ago. Oh, that's a screenshot of Amazon. You can't trust that release date ever.
No.
Let's see if there's anything else. Audible had a release date. Don't trust that either, since that is also Amazon. Apparently, Jim hasn't said much about it lately. This person says, a few days ago, Jim's been quiet recently. He canceled a convention appearance in April. It's available for pre-order on major retailers, but we don't have anything like a solid date yet.
Okay, no worries.
Oh, well.
Yeah. I did see the His Dark Materials sequel trilogy. The third book of that is got announced last week. Like the final book's coming out in October, so I'm hyped for that.
See, I saw that announcement too about that book. I don't think either I didn't know or didn't remember that a sequel trilogy existed. So I was like, wait, there's a new His Dark Materials book coming out? Like,
yeah.
What? I thought that trilogy ended a long time ago. So yeah, I think maybe I just wasn't aware that there was more.
Yep. Yeah, fair enough. Like, I don't know if the sequel trilogy is as good as the original His Dark Materials, which I really liked, but it's enough that I'm just like, oh, I'm going to get that one when it drops.
Makes sense. I might I mean, if the whole trilogy is going to be done after that, maybe I'll check them out once it's done. Once it's out.
Yeah. Trilogy is the Book of
do it
Dust.
all real
It's
quick.
called.
Yeah, I saw that when you say that. I'm like, yes, that's definitely the title I saw. I remember the Dust thing. Yeah.
Well, it's a sequel trilogy, but the first book is a prequel.
All right.
And then the second and third book take place like 10 years after Amber Spyglass.
I haven't read the original trilogy since college. Maybe I should reread those. Anyway, sorry, y'all. I mentioned that we do have a couple of new patrons, but we're gonna wait for Joe to get back to do those. So, but if you're interested in hearing me ramble about Wind and Truth, which there's a lot of that now, in addition to the other things on our Patreon, check that out. Join our Patreon, and you too can get. Joe will assign you a faring power. So a lot of fun. And now for something not quite completely different. I had a chance to sit down with Joe before I was done editing and get his take on this section, so I felt like this was a good moment to throw that in as we're wrapping up the episode. Joe, here's your chance. What did you think of these 3 chapters that we read?
Man, the first chapter, Negotiations, I just kind of felt bad for Dalinar the whole time.
Yeah.
And then there's the turn at the end with Taravangi, and you're just like, oh no, not that guy. That's like not the guy that you want to be on your side. So that was like a little bit of a bummer for, in several ways.
And he's so happy about it too.
Yeah, he's like, oh, bless that man. Bless him. You're just like, no, not Taravangi, and he's the worst. But I get it, none of our other characters really know that.
Right.
But yeah, it was kind of an interesting chapter. Like I said, I don't really want this book to be a political thriller, so like this was kind of the politic and stuff that I don't really like. It's kind of funny because Dalinar also doesn't like it, so it's kind of funny in a way. It's like, oh yeah, he also doesn't like having to do this, but he's having to do it.
Yep.
So that took maybe a little bit of the sting out of it because he was getting frustrated, but it's like, yeah, I'm not really in for this stuff. Interesting that we're getting little tidbits about the transformed Parshman throughout this section. It's like peeling back the layers of like, well, things aren't exactly what we think. And the fact that the Kid Emperor is having negotiations with them apparently, like, oh, that's our first sign. Like, maybe this isn't, these things aren't what we think they are. And then the Shallan chapter, I feel like it was just kind of comedy, and also like let's have a romance comedic break.
Yeah, it's kind of a rom-com. It's true.
Yeah, I mean, there's little bits like Shallan's getting better with her powers, but other than that, there's not a whole lot to it. So, I mean, I enjoyed it, but again, not much content-wise in that chapter. And then we had a very short chapter with Kaladin, which kind of showed even more like, oh yeah, things aren't really what they seem. It's like he stumbles on these guys, Parshmen, that are like trying to play cards like they saw Alethi do, and you're just, or I guess it doesn't have to be Alethi, they saw other people do, and you're just like, oh, well, yeah, even more so this is not what's going on. I like how Syl was all gun-ho too. She was like, yeah, you want to kill him? I'll turn into the sword. And he's like, wait, no.
Yeah, you want me to be the sword? It'll be great.
Yeah, wait a minute. Let's talk to these people. So that was kind of funny that she was like trying to become a sword to kill them. But yeah, good stuff. I definitely want to know where it's going. But I feel like besides the politics stuff and the Parshman info that we got, not a ton happened in this section, but still good stuff.
It's definitely kind of, because you're right, it's a short chapter that Squires can't capture, and it's very much a little bit of a tease, because we've been saying for at least the whole book, like, we want to know what's going on with these guys. We've just been hearing second and third hand, and now you finally meet them, and it's like, oh, that's not what you expected.
No. Yeah, Squires can't capture. Also, very interesting title name, but then when you know what it's actually referencing, you're like, oh, that's dumb.
You're like, oh, that was much simpler than, all right, yeah.
Yeah, they're playing a card game. Okay.
Yeah. And we never find out. Can Squires capture?
I mean, it's just something that I assume Brandon's going to make an actual card game out of, and we're going to all know, right? Does that exist?
There's going to be a card game. I mean, there's already a deck building game. I have that one. And then there's going to be like a trick taking card game, but it is not like that.
Okay. Well, if there is a name for this game in world, if they make it in real life, they should just call it Squires Can't Capture.
I feel like this may be Towers. I think we've heard them mention a card game called Towers before.
Okay. Well, that would kind of make sense.
And I don't know if they say in this chapter that that's what this game is.
Yeah.
But
it almost sounds like it's chess, but with cards.
It does. It sounds a little chess-y, right? Yeah. Fair. So the chapter titles for next time, we're going to do 3 more. 15 is Brightness Radiant.
Okay.
16 is Wrapped 3 times.
Okay.
And 17 is Trapped in Shadows.
Okay. So is wrapped spelled R-A-P-T or
W-R-A-P-P-E-D. Yeah.
Okay. Brightness Radiant makes me just either think of Shallan or Yasna. It'd be cool if it was Yasna, but I'm guessing it's probably going to be Shallan.
They have been calling her that, but
yeah,
that's because we only have one female Radiant.
Just the one that we know of, right? Wrapped 3 times. I would hope that's going to take us back to Kaladin. Don't know what Wrapped 3 times is in reference to. But I mean, like, we left on a cliffhanger with Kaladin, so I feel like we would have to go back with him pretty soon, hopefully, and not be something like 5 chapters later we're finally back with Kaladin. Like,
right.
So I would hope like that has something to do with that. What's the last chapter title again?
Trapped in Shadows.
Trapped in Shadows. That sounds like it also could be a Shallan chapter. I don't know. Maybe Dalinar, but I'm not sure what Trapped in Shadows would be in reference to.
Yeah, that could mean a lot.
Yeah. But yeah, that's those are all good chapter titles, except for Wrapped 3 times. That doesn't sound that great.
What could be wrapped 3 times?
Dude, I don't know.
A mummy?
A mummy?
I don't know why that's the first thing that occurred to me.
Yeah, I don't think we've had any signs that they have mummies in these civilizations. I guess one of the many like peoples on the planet could have mummies, but
that's true. That's one of the cool things actually about the negotiations chapter is you start learning more about these other cultures that we have had some to little experience with.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, I almost feel like we should have almost a novella for each section, right? Because we had the Azer stuff. We should have like one for each area, like a snapshot in the life of these peoples. I guess we kind of get that from some of the some of the interludes and stuff.
Some of the interludes, yeah. Like we've met Thalen people with their giant long eyebrows in the interludes.
That's right. And we've seen them in the book in passing.
Yeah, right. But this is the first time. I mean, like we got to talk to the Queen here.
Yeah. When is our next set of interludes? How far away are we from that?
Part 1 has 32 chapters.
Oh wow, so it's a big part.
So,
okay.
Yeah, it is a lot of chapters in this part.
Okay.
Although let's see, it looks like it takes up 26% of the book is part 1. So that's okay. There's 5 parts. So that's not much more than its allotted segment.
Yeah. So, but other than that, we're kind of still building the story here, right? The biggest mystery is what's going on with the Parchment, which I feel like we're about to get some insight into.
Hopefully, yeah.
What we don't know, right? So, like, if the Parchment aren't really the threat, what we don't know is what happened to the Parshendi that were the threat, and like what does that whole side of the coin look like, right? Because it's not just the storm is not the only thing going on, right? So, what else is going on? And how do we figure that out? So that's the big question, I feel like, which is what I kind of said at the end of the last book. It's like we have this confrontation. What next? Like, what's the next big bad that we have to like focus our attention on, right? Because at the beginning of the book, it kind of sets up the Parshmen as the Voidbringers that are going to be the evil. But it seems like maybe that's not the case based on what we've read so far.
Yeah, maybe.
So then what is? That's I feel like that's what this Oathbringer book is possibly about. It's like, what is the actual crisis on Roshar?
Gotta be something.
Yeah, and also what does Oathbringer have to do with it? Because the book is titled Oathbringer. Oathbringer was dropped out of the tower, so like we know somewhat from the section before, right? The flashback how Dalinar got Oathbringer, but what does the sword specifically have to do with the story at large?
That's a good point. Like, yeah, we haven't, because it just got dropped out of a window last book. We haven't seen it at all so far.
Yeah. So is it coming back? If so, why? I mean, it's the title of the book.
So you
think. It's also the title of a book in the book, I guess.
Book. Yeah.
So again, that's confusing too. It's the title of a sword, a book, and a book. But I would hope that it had a part to play other than just getting dropped out of the tower.
One would hope, yes. So yes, thank you everybody. Our patrons, you're awesome. People in the Discord, people just showing up every week. and listening to us talk about these books. We appreciate you. Thank you. Remember, we're doing 3 chapters for next time. So if you're following along, read chapters 15, 16, and 17 for the next episode. This is a longer section. I think this is going to be the longest section we've read so far this book, actually. Not by like a whole lot, but by a little bit. So tune in next time for that one. 3 chapters for next time, and music by Miracle of Sound. I forgot to do that, I think, last week, and I didn't realize it until the edit, and then I had to add that back in. Yes. Music by Miracle of Sound, and Wasing to the Time of Next. Colo, P.S. Fasher. Crabat.
Supernovas die, fractured in the fateful fall of man. Feel the heart raging of a strength unseen. Unity will bring the upper hand. So live to the break of dawn, to the break of dawn.